Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to episode 37 of Extreme Evocast, an all-purpose Pokemon podcast where we talk about news, trivia, and everything related to Pokemon. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today, I have a few things to say before we get into the meat of today, which is a very exciting episode, actually. Super, super exciting. It was a little bit out of the blue. I mean, I've had a few days to sort of think about how I want to approach this, but I am in a new location. I believe I talked about it last time. I don't remember if I did or not, so if I didn't, I apologize. Or if I did, I apologize, because I'm going to be talking about it again. I'm at my grandmother's house for about a month until I go back to college, because I have no place to live. My parents moved away from where we're living currently. I did talk about this, but a recap. My parents moved away. So, while I was home from college, I was living with them, and now I have no place to live. So I'm living with my grandmother. It wasn't like they just left me behind. We talked about this, we planned this, this has been a big thing. But for this episode of Evocast, and most likely the next one, I'm not 100% sure. It is 2 per month, but it's not going to be exactly a month that I'm staying here. It'll be a weird situation. I guess I could just look at the calendar to see if I'm going to be here, because, let me see. I'm leaving the 26th or so, or by the 26th, I will definitely be away. Okay, yeah, so it's going to be the 18th, so yes, definitely I'm going to be here for next episode of Evocast. So, whatever I say now is going to apply to next episode. I don't know. I honestly don't know the acoustics of this room. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear the fan going on above me. I don't know if the sound is going to be bad. I'm not going to worry about it too much because, I'm sort of in an unorthodox living space just for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. So it's only going to affect 2 episodes of Evocast, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. So if you do hear, the fan on in the background, if you do hear some weird sound, or if I sound a little bit different because of the acoustics of the room, I apologize. I listened back, a little bit. It doesn't sound too bad. I don't think it's going to be extremely noticeable, but just in case, that's why. That's what's going on. But yeah, I hope you all are having a good day. Today is a fun day. I was originally going to talk about something else. Something that I've been planning on talking about for a while, which I will probably save for next episode. But there was a release. I don't know where this person got it from. There's no information on Cerebi, as far as I can tell, regarding this information. And there's no real backstory to how this came to be. But a person by the name of Pokelly YouTube, or Pokelly YT, on Twitter. Also, they have a YouTube channel, Mixelli. You might know them. Actually, they're a quite popular YouTuber. Over almost 280,000 subscribers on YouTube, and how many followers on Twitter? It doesn't matter. 12,000. They acquired a debug/beta version of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Platinum. I assume Platinum. I'm not sure. So today is going to be a big episode for that. I'm going to be talking about everything, pretty much everything that has been revealed to us for the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Platinum beta or debug version. It's never really said exactly if it's like a beta or a debug version. Like I said, I don't know where this person got their hands on it. Most, if not all, of my information, I will say 99%, if not 100% of my information will be coming from Pokelly YT on Twitter, because I'm essentially just going to be looking through their archive, their videos that they've posted of this information, and sort of just going through it, simplifying it a little bit, really calling out the most important details and giving my personal twist on it. So I'm very excited about that. I did look into this a little bit before we started. I've been following the progression over the past a couple of days, like a week or so, 2 weeks almost. I'm sure you've seen art of it if you're on Twitter, if you're in the Pokemon fandom. If you're not in the Pokemon fandom, what are you doing? Why are you listening to this podcast? I hope you enjoy. If you are, hope this is your first taste of Pokemon. And what a way to get a first taste of Pokemon by the beta of one of the best Pokemon games out there, in my opinion. So I do have a little bit of news to start with. I'm gonna sort of not do a lot of the news today. There's not much, but I am going to sort of just plow through it very quickly. Because there is a lot to talk about today, and I'm very excited. I want to have as much time as I possibly can to talk about this information. A little bit of a fair warning before we get started here. This episode is going to be a very, how do I say it? Very information-heavy episode. It's going to be a lot of me just like going through a lot of different things and talking about them. Like, for example, the final sort of part of this exhibition that I have going through here is going to be, I'm going to be watching the 7-minute long video of all of the beta sprites for the Diamond and Pearl Pokemon and talking about each and every one of them. So that's not really, I'm going to be talking about I'm not going to be just going through a list, but I will be going through things sort of meticulously and sort of just, remember that one episode, or like, for example, like the type review episodes where I go through every Pokemon and talk about them individually of every type? That's sort of what to expect from today. So if you're not really a big fan of, more specific things, if you like more broad subjects and you don't really like going through a big list, maybe this episode isn't for you. But with that said, let's get started on the news. There's not much. A few things for Cafe Mix have been going. Blossom and Exeggutor have being added to the game. That was like a week ago. That was the 20th of July. So that's way a while ago. And also, in addition to that, more recently, Buizel and Dragonite are being added to Pokemon Cafe Mix. Pokemon Go. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Pokemon Go right now. A lot of stuff going on in Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go Fest is happening right now, I believe, or it did happen, or I don't know what the deal is. Not really been super following on exact dates. But Pokemon Go Fest is happening. What is it? I'm not sure. Is it still going on? I actually don't know when it stopped. I assume it's done. When is Pokemon Go Fest? When has it been happening? I don't know. Let me see. Like I said, I haven't been really doing it. Obviously Pokemon Go Fest, you have to buy... Oh, okay, it's done. July 25th to 26th. Okay, it's done. It's done. It already happened. I didn't know that it was a 2-day thing. Or at least if I did, I forgot. But you could get a ton of Pokemon, a ton of different stuff, and if anyone went through that, I hope you had a fun time. A lot of stuff to talk about with Pokemon Go Fest. There were so many different Pokemon you could find, so many different things that you could find and do in Pokemon Go Fest 2020. But now that it's over, maybe earlier Evocast would have gone through every specific detail that you could do on Pokemon Go Fest. But, sort of taking a more broad look at it, it's sort of just the norm. I don't really know what else to say. There was events, there was different days, there was different things you could do, different Pokemon you could catch. I'm not going to go through everything. Obviously, it was sort of a bad time because, it already happened. And it happened in the time, I wasn't, due to the nature of how, when this podcast happens, I am going to miss events like this by usually, for example, this time, by quite a large margin. So I didn't really have a chance to talk about the specifics of it. I apologize for that. I don't really think anyone's going to cry over the fact that I didn't get to talk about every single specific detail in Pokemon Go Fest, but even if I did do Evocast, like, in the middle of Pokemon Go Fest, I probably wouldn't have talked about it anyway. Speaking of Pokemon Go, there is a new community day coming up soon. It is Magikarp Day. Let me see the information on that specifically. Where's the announcement for that? I don't know when it's happening, or if it already has passed. I doubt it. August 8th. So this weekend. Yep, it's August 4th right now. I'm recording this, it's midnight, August 4th. I mean, it's essentially, it's the night of August 3rd. So this weekend, Niantic have announced the next Pokemon Go Community Day on August 8th will focus on Magikarp. He'll have 3 times captured Stardust, blah, blah, blah. There's also a paid ticket for special research called Making a Splash. There will be a field research to give Magikarp candy as well. This is good because obviously, as you know, Magikarp has like the most candy in like of any Pokemon to evolve with like 400, other than like Wailmer and like a few others. But so like this is kind of big. I might actually do this if I can. Might actually go out and do this because I don't even think I have a Gyarados yet. I never really lived near water or anything like that, so I never really had an opportunity to get that many Magikarp candy, so I might be interested in doing this. I'm not sure. But yeah, that is happening August 8th, so get excited about that. And finally, for the news, there is a thing, I don't know, okay, Pokemon Virtual Fest. Came out of nowhere. Pokemon Company have announced Pokemon Virtual Fest, running from August 12th through August 31st. It is an online virtual theme park involving rides based on Pokemon, various shows, and even footage of Pokemon Sword and Shield battles. You have the ability to customize your character's appearance, go on rides such as the Galarian Wheezing Train or the Gigantamax Ferris Wheel, as well as participate in various missions created by Scrap, the company behind so many escape rooms in Japan. There are 4 areas of the park: event stage, attraction area, beach area where you can take pictures, and store area where you can buy various goods such as parts for your avatar. It also has several mini games, including Antelion's shooting shop and Doug Trio's ring throwing shop. It is available in the Cluster app. Seriously, only available in Japan. They couldn't have said that in the beginning. I didn't know that. You were hyping me up all the way through, and then you hit me with the only available in Japan. That's so sad. I was actually kind of excited to do this. I mean, it looks amazing from what I can see. If you can go on Cerebi to look at the screenshots, it looks beautiful. The heck, man? Why would you save that for the very end? You got me all excited, and then you said, oh, nope, sorry. It's only in Japan. Well, I mean, I hope it's still a fun time for people who could participate. Who knows? Maybe there's some people in Japan who can participate in this, and if you do, I hope it's a fun time. I will be checking in to see what kind of details happens, because that sounds really cool. And finally, sad news. I should have done this at the beginning. I don't know why I saved the sad news for the last. Well, it's not really sad. It's exciting, but also kind of bittersweet. The final Pokemon Twilight Wings is coming soon. So after this, no more Twilight Wings. I quite enjoyed talking about Twilight Wings. It has been confirmed that the next and final episode of Twilight Wings, the web-based anime series set in Galar, will be released on August 6th, 2020. So sort of a horrible time. Literally the day after this episode of Evocast airs, which is okay. So you'll have to wait 2 weeks to hear my opinions on it, but you can betcha that I'll be talking about it next time, which I'm very excited about. But like I said, a little bittersweet. The final episode of Twilight Wings, I'm a bit sad about that. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, if you've if you've seen my opinions on all of the episodes pretty much that have come out when I talked about them, I really enjoyed this, and I know that a lot of people that I've seen have really enjoyed it too. So honestly, I'm a little bit sad to hear that it's going, but let's just hope that the final episode is a great one. All right, so before we move on to the big segment of today, the big segment, the big Diamond and Pearl beta, of course, we have to do everybody's favorite segment where we talk about a random Pokemon every episode. Random Pokemon of the week. And this episode's Pokemon is number 505. Can you guess? It's Watchog. Watchog is a normal type Pokemon introduced in Generation 5. It evolves from Patrat, starting at level 20. Watchog is the Lookout Pokemon. It has Illuminate or Keen Eye or Analytic as its hidden ability. A 50-50 gender ratio. It is 3'7", not as tall as I expected. Or 1.1 meters. 59.5 pounds or 27.0 kilograms. I guess just 27. I don't have to say 0.0. Why does it say 0.0? What's the point, huh? So, you'll have to excuse me. Sorry, my voice might be a little bit scratchy. I've been talking quite a bit today. It's Watchog. I hate to be like every episode, every segment of Random Pokemon of the Week, or at least I feel like I do it every time. Is like, this Pokemon exists, that's about it. But like, bro, it's Watchog. I mean, okay, I will say I really enjoy Patrat and Watchog as sort of the rodent of Generation 5. I think it's a cool Pokemon. I don't think it gets nearly as much credit in the creativity standard as it should. I mean, it's wearing like the vests that construction workers wear to show people that they're there. It's wearing an illuminated vest. It's a meerkat, which meerkats are very good. It's a well-designed Pokemon. I really enjoy its design. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it's a bad Pokemon. I don't think it's a badly designed Pokemon. I think Patrat is actually a pretty creative Pokemon when it comes to the Route 1 rodents. Let's see. In Black and White, Watchog is the only Pokemon to have the same EV yield as its pre-evolution, and the only evolved Pokemon to only give one single EV, giving 1 EV in attack. Because its EV yield was 2 in attack, 2 attack in Black 2 and White 2, Watchog is the only Pokemon to have its EV yield change within a generation. Wow. Interesting. Watchog is the only evolved Pokemon to have a catch rate of 255. Wow, so it's just extremely easy to catch. It's like the easiest evolved Pokemon to catch in the game. Why? Why is it so easy to catch? I mean, I guess it evolves at level 20, but like, huh? Watchog is based on a Groundhog, or possibly a Meerkat or a Prairie Dog. Its design is also based on a road worker, with the body resembling a protective suit and the yellow stripes forming a safety vest. I mean, yeah, I said that. It's cute. It's cute. I will say it's cute. I like its design. Looking at it closely, I don't think it's a bad design. But like, what is there to say? What else is there to say? Watchog is a combination of Watch and Groundhog. Of course. What else? Let's look at some Pokedex entries. When they see an enemy, their tails stand high, and they spit the seeds of berries stored in their cheek pouches. They make the patterns on their bodies shine in order to threaten predators. Keen eyesight lets them see in the dark. Using luminescent matter. What? You can't just throw that out there. Luminescent matter? How? It's a normal type Pokemon. It makes its eyes and body glow. How? How? It doesn't. It does have the illuminate. Oh, hold on. It has the illuminate ability. Encounter rate increases. What? Why would you ever want that? Illuminate has no effect during battle. If a Pokemon with Illuminate is in first place in the party, the wild Pokemon rate increases by 100%? Really? I didn't even know that was an ability. Wow, okay, in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, a Pokemon with Illuminate blinks after a turn in which it is damaged. The blink summons a hostile Pokemon. That sounds horrible. Okay, this is not random ability of the week. This is random Pokemon of the week. I didn't know. I read it out, but I didn't put two and two together. It literally has Illuminate. What a weird Pokemon. I didn't know it could, like, literally make itself glow. I always thought it was just like a joke, like, it can see good, Watchog see good, but, like, I didn't know it literally could illuminate itself. Why would it want to be seen? Isn't it supposed to be, like, it's a lookout. It's supposed to see other things. It has keen eye, too. And analytic, which makes sense. But, like, why does it want to make itself seen? And then in the picture that it has on Bulbapedia in Pokemon Adventures, it's something else is glowing and it's shielding its eyes from the glow. Isn't that what it's supposed to be doing? This Pokemon is full of contradictions, man. I swear to God. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Anyway, let's look at its shiny form. Its shiny form is actually pretty nice. This is interesting because I recently found a shiny Patrat. So, topical, I suppose. And I mean, when I say recently, I say like 3 days ago I found a shiny Patrat. It actually changes quite a lot. It's the yellow on it turns into like a light green. It's like dark burgundy brown / red turns into like a dark or like a really pale brown purple. Like a grayish purple. I don't know how you would explain this color. And then it's like cream face turns into like a brighter yellow or like a much more vibrant yellow. And like that all just describing it like that sounds insane, but it actually looks good. I actually quite like this shiny. I don't think it looks bad at all whatsoever, and I'm actually excited to evolve my shiny Patrat because I didn't know what this thing looked like. And honestly, it looks good. It looks okay, man. Normally these Pokemon like this, I'm like, okay, it's shiny, it's nothing to sneeze at, but like, this is actually kind of top tier. You know what? I like it so much, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but hey, I like it. I think it's kind of cool. I Watchog in general, I think it's kind of cool. I think that's how you could describe my feelings about Watchog. It is what it is. And it's kind of cool. Anyway, let's move on to the, I assume, very fast competitive overview of Watchog. It is in Sun and Moon. Oh, it isn't. Okay. This previous generation Pokemon is not available. Okay, so in Sun and Moon, Watchog has an HP of 60, an attack of 85, a defense of 69, a special attack of 60, a special defense of 69, and a speed of 77. And this is a PU format. It is untiered. It is literally just so garbage nobody even bothers to put it into a tier. This is written by Toy Time King. Watchog is a poor choice for a normal type wall breaker in the PU metagame and is heavily outclassed by Stoutland and Kangaskhan, which possess greater speed tiers and much more wall breaking potential. Stoutland and Kangaskhan also have Scrappy to hit opposing Ghost-type Pokemon with their normal-type moves. On the other hand, Watchog is stuck with Analytic as its best ability, making it rely on attacking second. However, with its subpar bulk, it doesn't survive for long. And this set is an all-out attacker, if you can even call it that. Return, Low Kick, Knock Off, and Seed Bomb. Interesting move there. Life Orb, Analytic, Adamant Nature, plus attack, minus special attack, 252 attack EVs, 4 defense EVs, and 252 speed EVs. And it says, Watchog just attempts to come in and hit as hard as it can, having coverage to hit every Pokemon in the tier for at least neutral damage. Once again, there isn't much reason to use Watchog as an offensive normal-type Pokemon because it doesn't hit as hard as Kangaskhan and Stoutland, its main competition in the PU metagame, as they are faster and possess more bulk than Watchog. How sad. Once again, another Pokemon that's just sort of like, yeah, it sucks, don't use it, but here's a moveset anyway if you decide to. Like, I feel kind of bad for these Pokemon. You never really, you spend so much time looking at the Pokemon that are really good that you never really take some time to look at the Pokemon that are so garbage that nobody ever uses them, and it's kind of sad. Anyway, let's move on to the, in my opinion, very exciting main topic for today. The Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, or I assume just Diamond and Pearl, because Platinum came out later. The Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Beta. So, like I said before, this is pretty much all coming from at Pokeli YT, Pokeli YT, YouTube, I assume. They do Pokemon like showcases, like all shinies, all Z moves, stuff like that. Very good channel. I would recommend checking them out if you haven't already. So thanks to them, obviously, I'm not trying to claim this as my own. I'm not trying to do anything malicious of that sense. This is all their property. Well, not their property. You know what I mean? This is all coming from them. This is pretty much, like I said, every single bit of information coming to you that is related to this Pokemon Diamond and Pearl beta is coming from at Pokeli YT. If I ever get any complaints by them that they don't want me to talk about it, as if it's my own, stuff like that, I will happily take this down. But from now, for now, I'm just making a bold disclaimer that this is all coming from them. Their YouTube videos, their Twitter page, their documentation of this Diamond and Pearl beta or debug, sort of thing on their page. So let's get into it. Also, another, sort of a main disclaimer for the information going here. There's a lot to talk about. There is a lot of things. There's a ton of music tracks, a ton of miscellaneous stuff, a ton of designs, a ton of, for example, there's so many tiny little changes from, one Pokemon to the new version, like some of the Johto Pokemon, some of the Kanto, the Hoenn Pokemon, some of them look like just a little bit different. Some of them look a lot different. We'll get into that a little later, but I'm not going to talk about every single small tidbit of change that happened because that would take forever. I would be here for 4 hours if I talked about literally everything. So I'm just going to talk about the stuff that matters. Some of the stuff that's interesting, some of the stuff that really caught me off guard, something I think that people will find interesting to discuss. Overall, generally, not much has changed. Well, a lot has changed, but obviously, a lot of the things, the game still looks like Diamond and Pearl. There was no main old, design choices that things, there's no huge design choices that went that are different. It's not like it's not like a crazy aesthetic change. It's not like the design of the game was completely different. It's just most of this stuff just looks like older things, older placeholder things, or older, beta things, I suppose is the best way I can put it. Or older sprites, earlier sprites, they changed the design a little bit. They changed the look of certain things. They changed a pose to, here or there. They changed, most of the music is just like unfinished, or it sounds unfinished at least. It's like a prototype version. Nothing is big enough to the point where it's like, this could have been a totally different game. A lot of it is just like what you expect from a beta version of a game. Slight changes, slight differences, things like that. So I'm going to start at the very beginning of sort of their documentation. There's a lot of beta sprites that we're going to get into later. Big things. So if you're interested in hearing about that, please stay tuned until the end, because we're going to talk about all of the beta, super different changes when it comes to these Pokemon, because some Pokemon were insanely different. Most of the legendaries were completely different. Most of, some Pokemon look nothing like they do today. So stay tuned for that. But, like I said, a lot of the changes are very minimal. So they start out with just some like geometry, like some buildings that were changed. What's it called? One of the passages in the very beginning of the game, before on your way to Floraroma Town, was like it was just like beta graphics. There was nothing, it just looked unfinished. A lot of the music sounds like it's unfinished. They have like Team Galactic admin encounter, Cyrus battle, champion battle, Elite Four battle, Barry battle. A lot of it just sounds unfinished or like slightly different alterations to the songs. And obviously this is an audio medium, and I don't know if I can play them here. So I'm not going to play them. I'm not going to talk too in depth about them. Really, honestly, the biggest thing I wanted to focus on was the sprite changes. So if you're, this isn't like a complete documentation of every single small thing that changed, because a lot of it is actually pretty minimal. But it's really interesting to look into the development of the game and look at what the game could have been. Because, back then, we didn't get any dev logs. We didn't get any any updates on what things could have been. They didn't give us updates. They gave us very minimal things when it comes to the updates of the game. They mostly teased the game when it was almost finished or close to it. So we never got a look into this era of the game. And it's really, really interesting to see. A lot of the time I'm always really interested in watching those videos on YouTube where it's like uncut content, or cut content from, not uncut, everything is uncut, cut / unused content from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, that kind of stuff. And like, this is it. This is everything. This is everything that has been, that we see. I mean, there's probably so much more under the hood that we just don't know about. And like, it's really interesting to see just a little bit of a small tidbit of information of changed things. So there seems like there's a little bit of history when it comes to that. For example, Pokeli sort of theorized that the gym leader theme is the first battle theme ever made, because it is the battle that plays when you run into a wild Pokemon, when you fight a trainer in this beta version. And by other means that we don't really know, it seems like it was the first battle theme ever made. In this demo / beta version of Diamond and Pearl, you can't do much according to them. They said that you can't battle many trainers. You can only go past Sanjum Town, which is like the second town you go to besides the starting town. So there's not much. All of the stuff exists in the files, the sprites, the sound test where you can find all the music, all that kind of jazz, but you can't play the game. So there's not a lot of story stuff we know, other than some things we'll talk about in a little bit, but it seems like most of it is just unavailable to us. At least, that's as far as they had gone. That's as far as they'd done. Like I said, there's so much more. The entire game could have been changed. The route layout, the trainer sprites, the story progression, and we would never know. This is only a glimpse into what this game could have been, or the direction that it was taking, the progression that the game went through. And it's really, really interesting to see that kind of stuff. There's a few interesting tidbits that was sort of found throughout this. Like I said, most of the trainers, some of their overworld sprites was changed very slightly. Like Crasher Wake, his earlier overworld sprite seems to have a Swampert mask on, which is really interesting. There's a beta sprite for Byron. There's trainer sprites for for like the ace trainers and the youngsters and stuff that just look slightly different than before. That stuff is pretty understandable. Design changes go through stuff like that. Some interesting things on the game design standpoint, though, is that according to this beta version of the game, Frostlass is only ice type. There was sort of a video where he went through, or they, I suppose, went through a box full of a bunch of Pokemon and looking at some of their beta sprites. And they pointed out that Frostlass is only ice type. It's not ice ghost. Whether or not this is a placeholder or it wasn't decided that Frostlass was going to be ice ghost at this time is interesting. Also, apparently the name was different. I'm struggling to find the original tweet. But the name in Japanese translated to something slightly different than Frostlass's, what it does. Turtwig also is grass poison in the earlier versions of the game, it seems. Whether or not this was just placeholder or Turtwig was originally supposed to be grass and poison is unknown, but it's an interesting thing nonetheless. In the very early areas of the game that they can explore, there's a little bit of story progression changes that seems to be different. In the very beginning, Professor Rowan goes to your house, and the Lake Verity story progression is a little bit different in the beginning of the game. So the game went through these very small tweaks, which is understandable, of course. But it's interesting to see those, just these small things that change nothing about the story. Who cares if Professor Rowan goes to your house first to get you? Or, the Lake Verity scene went just a little bit different. But it's these sort of things that just really pique my interest and, make me want to know everything about the progression that went into this game. And it's kind of a shame that this is all we get. I mean, it's blessed. It's a really interesting proposition that we even get this opportunity in the first place. But man, there's so much we can learn about Pokemon and the way the thought process that goes into these games if we could just know how it was made, literally, step by step. The art, the story progression changes, the areas, things like that. I really wish that we could know more, but this is as far as we can get, unfortunately. The music in the beta version of the game is interesting because, like I said before, most of it just seems unfinished. None of them are necessarily super different. It doesn't seem like they are composed any differently. The songs aren't different. It's just an earlier version of the song. Cynthia battle, the gym battle, like I said before, most of it just sounds like it's unfinished. And that goes for almost everything in this beta showcase that this person did. And then that also carries on to the sprites, which we will go over to in a little bit, the designs and the sprites of most of the Pokemon. The Great Marsh song specifically, I don't know if it was unfinished, but it sounded much more lighthearted. It was at a higher pitch. The key seems to be a little bit higher. It's interesting. The music, they sort of fine tune these tracks into the exact emotion that they want them to portray. And who knows how many versions these songs have gone through. I don't know the process of making music for these sorts of games, but who knows how many times these songs, these tracks went through changes. This could be the second to last version that is made. This could be the first version that was made. We'd have no idea of knowing these things. The Dialga Palkia fight, for example, just sounds like the track that we have today. It just is missing the main instrument, the Cynthia battle song. It sounds almost exactly the same. It just sounds like it's missing a few of its main instruments, which is interesting. I'm not really sure how the progression goes into making songs like this. Most of it sounds like it's just missing some instruments. Some of it sounds slower than normal. It's very interesting. You'll have to go to the twitter.com/PokeLeeYT to listen to them all, or I assume they've uploaded them to their YouTube channel too. If you'd like to listen to these tracks, I would recommend giving it a listen because, like I said, most of them are they just sound weird. They just sound slower or missing instruments or in a slightly different key. It's very interesting. And that also goes for most of the sprites when it comes to the Kanto, Johto, and Hoenn Pokemon. A few of them are different. a few of them do look like they've been altered, they've been changed, because of course this was the first game on the DS, so they had to bring over these designs, they had to bring over these sprites into the new hardware, and of course we had sprites for every Pokemon in Gen 3 up until that point, but they had to make new ones, higher resolution, higher color contrast, different things that would allow them to go a little bit further with these sprites. Most of them are nothing to be super concerned about. Like some of them just look a little bit different. Their faces might be changed. The colors might be a little bit different. Some of the poses are a little bit different. Some of them are very different. Polytoad, for example, most notable. It's like falling over, like a completely different pose than its final sprite. Quagsire's pose is much different. Espeon's colors look like they're from Gen 3. It looks like it was almost carried over from Gen 3. They're much more darker. They're much harsher colors. And like they look a lot less refined. They look a lot less consistent. Like it looks like a bunch of different artists sort of just scribbled down ideas for poses and color composition to these Pokemon, and it really makes you appreciate the how different styles and different poses and different color compositions can make Pokemon look so different. You should watch these videos because they're very interesting. Like I watched through them all and I couldn't really find many of note to talk super in depth about. I wish I could talk about all of them. But like, some of them are just very minor changes. Some of them are just very minor color changes, pose changes, stuff like that. And this is the sort of stuff that I really enjoy looking at and thinking about and talking about, how things could be different today. Obviously, it wouldn't be that much of a difference if, say, Quagsire was in a different pose in his Diamond and Pearl sprite. But, it makes a difference. It makes a difference on how they convey the personality of the Pokemon. It can change whether or not a person likes this Pokemon or not. It could change whether or not a person uses of this Pokemon or not, depending on its likability, its what's the word? Appeal, in its character, its pose, its silhouette. Character design is a big thing that goes into the Pokemon designs, and they had to fine tune these designs to look appealing. And it could be argued that some of them look better than they do now, and I would agree with you. And it's interesting to see the sort of changes and the decisions that they made to this is the sprite we want to use. This is the final design. This is the final colors that we want to use for this Pokemon. And most of the time, honestly, after Gen 4, most, if not all, Pokemon designs and colors stayed consistent. So this was the final decision. In Gen 3, some Pokemon looked a little wonky. Some of the colors looked a little bit like way too contrasted, way too dark, way too vibrant. And they sort of dulled that back in Gen 4. They sort of finalized the decisions, the designs of these Pokemon in Gen 4, I would say. And, like I said, this was a big moment. And it's interesting to see the decisions that went into such a big moment in deciding how these Pokemon were going to be portrayed. This also goes for shiny Pokemon. There's also a video here that I could scroll through a little bit. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to scroll through a few of them. I'm going to go through the comments of the YouTube video. Where, it's the shiny forms, the shiny differences in these, in Diamond and Pearl. Some of them are surprisingly different. Most of them are almost exactly the same. I'm looking at them now, like Scyther's shiny form became a little darker green. Flareon's changed to be a little bit of a darker red. I'm looking through some of the YouTube comments to see, like Gengar, for example. Gengar's shiny in this game is like gray. It's not just like a slightly different purple that it always has been. They changed Gengar's shiny and then they reverted it back. Of course they would. And that's sort of the same thing. These shiny forms, a lot of people are saying that they should have kept them. You know, they should have went with the designs that they did, but they decided to change them. And some of them are just, it seems like some of them are kind of bugged. Like, I'm looking at them right now, like Shellos, Wormadam, Gastrodon. I don't think the color schemes really worked how they wanted to. And like, I'm looking at more examples now. It's just scrolling through them. Hitmontop. It's a much paler beige in the final version. Trico is much more blue in the beta version. Ammonite is much more blue in the beta version. Shiny Swinub was gray instead of green. Like, they were changing these Pokemon, and then they made them a little bit more. They made them a little more consistent for the final versions, which, again, like I said, this could have changed a lot about the likability or the designs, the appeal of certain Pokemon. Some of these shiny forms, like Lairon, for example. I'm looking at Lairon right now. It has red eyes in the final shiny like Aron, but in the older one, it had yellow eyes. Aron didn't have that. They kept Aron's eyes the same, and it's interesting to see, like, why did they do that? Why was this the design choice that they went through? And even Aggron too. Aggron's eyes are like a bright yellow instead of a bright red in the beta version, but they changed it. They changed it to be more consistent with Hoenn. So it seems like they went through a stage where with some of these Pokemon, they're like, okay, we should change them, these shiny forms. And who knows? Maybe some of the decisions that they had before weren't there. They're not in this version that they can show us. Maybe some Pokemon went through drastic shiny changes. And like I said before, this all comes back to the talk about appeal, the character design, and it's really, really interesting to see the decisions that went into these shiny forms. I talk about shiny forms quite a lot. I talk about them every episode with Random Pokemon of the Week. So seeing what they could have been, the changes that could have gone into them are really, really interesting to me. And I hope they're interesting to you too. And finally, the biggest part of today's episode. The beta sprites for the new Generation 4 Pokemon. I'm going to watch through this entire 7-minute video and talk about them. So let's get started here. Turtwig, nothing changed. One of the biggest ones, right off the bat here, Grotle and Torterra. Grotle and Torterra are so much different. They're much more basic. Grotle looks a lot more like Turtwig in the beta design. I always thought that Grotle kind of looked a little bit not like Turtwig. I talked about this actually a few episodes ago when I talked about Grotle on Random Pokemon of the Week, and like, I gotta say, this beta version of Grotle looks a lot like Turtwig. It looks a lot more akin to what I would expect Turtwig to evolve into. Very interesting. And Torterra just looks weird to me, man. It's like flat. It's not like a shell. It looks like it's got a pancake on its back. It's got like a weird flat, fat head. The tree art is very bad. I mean, it looks like these are unfinished. The same with Grotle too. The designs for the tree. It looks like Torterra was a lot more designed on like a bonsai tree, which is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail about these, but like, it's interesting to see what Torterra could have been. I dislike Torterra's design here. I'm really glad they went with what they did with modern Torterra. Chimchar is nothing different. Monferno looks the same, but the sprite is a little bit outdated. Same with Infernape. It actually looks to be like almost the same exact sprite. It's just a little bit less polished. I know it's a little bit hard to talk about these things because you can't see them. Maybe you can follow along with the designs. This is Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Beta all unreleased sprite comparison by Mixelli, of course, same person who I've been talking about the whole time. I'll try my best to sort of explain what's different about these Pokemon and what I like and dislike about them. For example, Piplup is the same. Piplup has nothing changed. Primplup, though, good lord, it looks so much different. It's only got one sort of like yellow, what's the word? Like, like a bar across its head. The designs on its chest are a little bit different. Its wings are a little different. It's not super different, but like it's the little things in the design that really change things. Empoleon looks almost exactly the same as before. Starly looks the same. Staravia, Staraptor. It looks like these Pokemon didn't have any changes. I'm going to sort of just not talk about the ones that didn't have any changes. Kricketot doesn't change. Cricketune looks like it has a little bit of a different sprite that got kind of squished. Its head looks fatter in the beta version. Some of the colors are a little more diluted. Oh, and Beta Shinx. Beta Shinx has a lot to talk about. Beta Shinx is so cute. It's got a little mohawk, a little black mohawk. Its eyes are so much different. Other than that, it doesn't look too much different, but oh, boy, do I love Beta Shinx. Beta Luxio looks like it's just an outdated sprite. Same with Luxray. The designs are a little different, but it doesn't seem to be too big of a change. Budew looks the same. Roserade, I was like, where's Roselia? I forgot Roselia was a Gen 3 Pokemon. Cranidos and Rampardos or one of the bigger ones, specifically Rampardos. Cranidos looks so much cooler in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. I really like Beta Cranidos. Its design looks just much more solid, much more on par with the rest of the designs. And Rampardos, I've always actually really enjoyed Rampardos. Rampardos' full design, but this design for Beta Rampardos is so cool. It's orange instead of blue. It's got a big white head with thorns or spikes around it. I can't really explain it all too well. Like I said, follow along or just look at them later if you're interested in doing so. But Rampardos is one of the cooler ones, I do have to say. Shieldon, nothing changed. Bastiodon, nothing changed. Wormadam, Mothim, nothing changed. Combee. Combee's kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie. Combee looks interesting. Combee's got like, overall it just looks a lot less polished, and it's like, it looks like Toad from the Mario franchise. Those beady black eyes, the weird puckered lips. I don't know how to feel about this Pokemon. Vespiquen too. Vespiquen, I said in like my own personal server that Vespiquen looks like an enemy from like the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga games, or I guess just the Mario and Luigi games. It doesn't really look too much different. It's like exactly what a Queen Bee Pokemon would look like. It actually doesn't look too much different from the original design, or the final design, I suppose, but it looks different enough that it's worth talking about. Pachirisu, Buizel, nothing changed. There's not a lot of Pokemon are changed, but the ones that are changed are very interesting. And I'm going through big dry spell of unchanged Pokemon, like the Baneri line, Mismagius, Honchkrow. These Pokemon are barely changed at all. I'm probably going to skip ahead. I'm not, obviously, like I said, I'm not going to talk about the Pokemon that aren't changed. As far as I can tell, these Pokemon have no changes whatsoever. Bronzor is a changed one. I actually kind of like its beta sprite better. Obviously, if it was a little more polished, a little bit more clean, it would look better, but I think the sprite, at least, looks a lot better than its final design. It seems like the amount of like spots on it is a little different too. It seems to have 6 little like white dots on its face other than 4, which, wow, I know, is such a crazy change. But like the perspective on the beta design looks so much better. Bronzong too. Bronzong has these insane glowing beady eyes and no mouth, it seems. The design looks almost exactly the same as far as general designs go. It's more of like a green than it is blue. It's more of like a steel, kind of grayish green than it is a light blue like it is in the final design. There's a few changes here and there, but it looks almost exactly the same. Interesting, actually. I remember watching the video that this person posted showcasing all the beta designs. This is a comparison between the two, which is better, because I can't be asked to remember exactly what the sprites look like. So I'm glad that I have this comparison here. I remember that in like the sprite test in the actual game itself, they had all of the sprites, and most of the Pokemon had a cry, the same cry. I assume it was a placeholder. I assumed it was a placeholder cry for Pokemon that just didn't get a cry yet. But just watching this video right now, I realize now it's actually Bonsai's cry, which is really interesting. Of all Pokemon, why would it be Bonsai? Maybe Bonsai was like one of the first Pokemon made for Generation 4. Who knows? But it was Bonsai's cry throughout the entire thing, which I didn't know until now. I didn't recognize the cry. I thought it was just like some random cry, or like some cry that we didn't have yet. Now, skipped ahead a little bit. This is one that is worth talking about for a while, I think. Gible, Gabite, and Garchomp. Totally different. The Gible line went through an insane change. These sprites, I mean, they look unfinished. But their design is like, instead of a blue little shark, land shark, it's like a orange, like a reddish orange, just like angry orb with a fin. Gabite is more quadrupedal than it is bipedal. Like in the final game, it doesn't have a lot of fins on it. It's less sharp looking. It's more, the designs in general are more round. I don't really know if I would say that I like them more. I think that Garchomp's beta sprite is really cool. I actually really, it's more finished than the other two. I think that Garchomp's final or beta sprite is pretty darn cool and would actually work as probably a separate Pokemon. But I gotta say, I'm fond of the final Garchomp sprite. But there is something to say. It's like an orange and very light, vibrant blue color scheme, which is interesting. Like I said, much more rounded. A little less so in the final form. It has a lot of fins on its legs, attached to its arms, on its back, like Garchomp. It's much more like top heavy. It's got like a big long neck compared to Garchomp's more like skinny stature, which again I think is very interesting. I don't know how it'd feel. I mean, obviously I wouldn't really bat an eye if they decided to go with this final design, because I wouldn't know any better. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like I'd like it. I think it's pretty darn sick. And I think the general consensus for a lot of the designs, they look pretty good, at least for the Garchomp line. I just saw a comment saying the beta of Gible's Evolution Chain looks like a fan game sprites, which I do have to agree with. But I think that polished and maybe give it a little bit more character, they look pretty darn cool. At least, okay, Gible and Gabite, not so much. But Garchomp looks pretty darn cool. Okay. What? I didn't see this before. Hippopotas. Hippopotas is just a hippo. Man, this is just a picture of a hippo. This is not a ground hippo. This is just a hippo. Like, it has no design. It has no change. It's just a hippo. It's one color, smooth skin, no spots, no like extra things added to it, like normal proportions. This is just a baby hippo. Man, this is nothing different. That's really funny. But Hippowdon, sorry, not Hippopotas. Hippowdon, very different. Oh my lord, there's a lot to unpack here. Hippowdon, or Hippowdon, is, wow, I don't even know how to feel about this. It's like, it looks like, what do I even say? It's like, it's just like a bright orange, no color variation, no, you know, black, sort of markings on like its back, on its feet, on its mouth. It's just fully orange. The inside of its mouth is bright blue, or it's like a vibrant blue, and like the spots on its back where the sand pours out is like slightly, you know, there's like a blue ring around them, and it looks like it has a big beard of spikes. I don't know if that's like, you know, I don't know if that's like its hair, or if it's like weird protrusions out of its face. I don't know, man. It looks like it looks, it's a bad design. I'm not gonna lie. It's not a very good design. But it's interesting. It's so bright. It's so colorful. It doesn't look like a Pokemon. It looks like something out of like a kid's TV show. This is not a Pokemon here. This is, I don't even know what you would even call this thing, but this is not a Pokemon. Oh boy, okay, we're starting to get, I'm doing some cuts here, I don't know if you can tell. Starting to get into the very changed. Carnivine is another Pokemon with a changed sprite. The design looks pretty similar, I'm not gonna lie. It still has like the big Venus flytrap head, leafy arms, tentacle-like vine legs. But it's like, oh, it's got this crazy eyes. I mean, not that Carnivine doesn't already have crazy eyes. I mean, the sprite is almost definitely unfinished. It's just base color. It doesn't have any shading, nothing special to it. But like, it's funny. It looks silly. I kind of like the pose that it's in, though. It's got some weird protrusions on the top of its head. Almost looks like it's wearing a crown. Who knows, man? Who knows what they were doing? And right away, almost immediately, we got some more. Finneon? Finneon actually looks a lot like the original. It's a little different. It just looks like a crappier version of it looks like a child. It was like, okay, or you know what it looks like? It looks like someone said, hey, draw the Pokemon Finneon without looking at it, without looking at a reference, and this is what they come up with. Meanwhile, Lumineon looks completely changed. Lumineon looks like, I don't even know. It's completely black. It has, instead of having like, you know, like a lighter blue sort of frills, and like a face, it has like these iridescent markings going across its fins and at the tip of its tail. Much different eyes, much different face shape. It almost looks like a Digimon. I know that's weird to say, but like, Digimon, like it looks like a Digimon. It's got that face shape, it's got the eyes, it's got that like general design to it that doesn't look like a Pokemon. You know, like Hippowdon's beta, it doesn't look like a Pokemon, but it looks cool. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with this design, it just doesn't look like a Pokemon. Snover and Abomasnow are another one, line that changed quite a bit. It looks, I don't really know how to explain this. It looks more regal. It looks a lot less like goofy, but in you know, not saying that Snover's goofiness isn't charming, but it looks a lot more like, I don't really know how you explain it. It less has like a body, you know, like a big chunky body, but it's sort of very flowing. It's shaped like a triangle. And it's got like these very, very beautiful eyes. I know that's weird to say, but you know, compared to Snover's eyes that are just like really goofy looking, this thing has some very beautiful eyes. I like it. And then Abomasnow is also very different. Actually, looking on it now, Abomasnow really didn't change all that much. Abomasnow, the color scheme is a little more minty. The green looks a little bit more, like I said, minty. It keeps those gorgeous eyes. Very, very soft, gentle, very feminine eyes on this line. Compared to Snover's goofy eyes and Abomasnow's horrifying eyes. You know, there's a little bit of a perspective change in Abomasnow's design here, but it actually doesn't look too different. So there's a few of them on the, Gen 4 updated evolutions, like Electivire, Weavile, stuff like that. There's a few of them that are changed. For example, Magmortar. Magmortar's sprite in the beta version just looks like an unfinished version of Magmortar, in a different pose. It looks kind of sad. It looks like it's, not having a great day. But it doesn't look like its design has changed at all. Maybe a little bit if you want to get a little nitpicky. But it looks like it's just an unfinished, earlier version of Magmortar, I suppose. Togekiss is insane, man. I don't know what to say with Togekiss. It looks like an airplane. Not that Togekiss doesn't already look like an airplane. Like, something that really strikes me as weird about beta Togekiss is that it doesn't look like it evolves from Togetic. Togepi and Togetic are such soft, beautiful creatures, and then this thing looks like a robot. It looks like it has no feelings. It looks like it's out to destroy anything that enters its path. It's got this, angry looking almost, or at least no emotion black eye with a red pupil. Very sharp design compared to Togekiss. Togekiss looks obviously very rounded, very fluffy, very regal, very feathery. This thing just looks like a weird airplane drone that looks like it's gonna kill me. Yanmega, too. I forgot about Yanmega. I took a look at these before, so I know quite a bit of them, but I want to recap. I forgot about Yanmega. Yanmega's design is insanely different. It looks a lot more evil. Like I said, a common theme with Togekiss, this thing looks like it's going to kill me. Less red, more yellowy and orange on this thing. It's sort of like actually now that I look at it, Yanmega is also like a navy green, but this thing in particular, Yanmega is cool. I think that Yanmega is a really cool design, but this thing looks like it looks like an enemy from like a Fallout game. It looks like a generic evil giant dragonfly enemy from like a sci-fi game. I don't like it. It looks very unfriendly. Its design, Yanmega's design isn't necessarily the most friendly design out there, but this thing just looks like it's gonna kill me. I don't know what it is with these beta designs and looking extremely ferocious and out to kill whatever it gets its sights on, but Yanmega is one of them. Leafeon and Glaceon, unfortunately not changed at all. I would have liked to see what changed in those designs, if there was any. Okay. Oh, that caught me off guard. Wow. So, Probopass. Oh, Probopass is so funny. Probopass is just a big nose. I mean, it is just a big nose, but there is no words that could be spoken that I could never describe this thing ever. I think you need to take a look at this thing if you have not already. It's so funny. It looks like an Easter Island head, but just bad. Obviously, this is not a final design. Obviously, this is just a this is just a beta version or like an unfinished prototype of what prototype, I guess, of what Probopass might have looked like. But God, this thing is so funny. Again, it looks like a child drew it. It's hilarious to me. Rotom is again the same sort of so in line with Probopass. I mean, it's just an electric blue ball with arms. Nothing, with like crappy drawn on eyes. It looks like a child's drawing. Obviously, this is just a prototype of what Rotom used. What was, maybe they needed a placeholder sprite for Rotom, and someone just like drew this up with their Crayola crayons. But hey, I mean, it works, doesn't it? It portrays what Rotom's all about. It's just an electric blob. Finally, I realized actually that this video is 7 minutes long because it goes over the back sprites too, which I will talk about a few of them, not all of them. I'm only going to talk about the ones that are different from the designs that we saw before. I'm not going to talk about the same beta designs as before. I'm just going to look at things that are not the same as their front sprites, which is actually something that does happen. So Dialga and Palkia have just unfinished sprites. The designs are the same. They look the same. It's just they're unfinished. Not as much detail on them. Heatran is different. It's at least its sprite is very different. There's a little bit of a design change on like the helmet thing that goes over its head. It's got like these 4 orange orbs. But like the color composition looks nothing like everything else of these games, and it makes me think it was drawn by a different person. I don't know who did the sprite work for these games, but like it looks almost exactly the same as final Heatran, but like it has so much more contrast and so much more shading than the final version, or than any of the other designs. Really, it looks like it was maybe drawn by someone else as a prototype. Who knows? Oh, good lord. Regigigas. So funny. So Regigigas is another one of those, like Magmortar, where it's, and Probopass, I suppose, where it's obviously just like a drawn up, prototype for what it might look like. But Regigigas is so funny. If you've seen the memes on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you've seen this thing, it's just so funny. I mean, the design looks nothing different. It's missing a little bit of like the moss around its feet. But overall, it seems like they had the design pretty much ready for Regigigas. But God, this thing is just so funny. It's like it's got like a crude black outline, no shading, barely any color composition. It looks like someone said, hey, draw Regigigas with no reference. And also the person that is drawing it is 5 years old. Yeah. Now, we're starting to get into some of the designs that are really intriguing to me. For example, Giratina. Beta Giratina just looks wrong. It looks like Landorus, actually. It looks like Landorus Therian form. It's like, it has no shading, no different colors, just like one blocky base color with a little bit of white. A very odd design. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Where is the mouth? It's got like a beard hanging down from the front of its face. Who knows? And these like colored crystals on its 6 feet. I just realized it has 6 feet. I mean, I guess so does Giratina, but like it looks like Landorus, but with 6 feet. It's as simple as that. I mean, God would only know what would have changed in terms of Giratina's popularity if this is what the final design looked like. Cresselia, nothing different. Fiona and Manaphy, nothing different. And then I'm waiting for these. Yep, I know these. Darkrai. Darkrai again just looks like Probopass, like Giratina. It looks unfinished. It looks like someone was like, hey, draw this like weird dark dream nightmare Pokemon for me. And they're like, okay. And they designed this. It looks unfinished. It looks not very good. An interesting little tidbit, actually, is that someone theorized on Twitter. I'm sorry. I apologize greatly for not having the original post. But one of the promotional images, or like the title images, I don't remember exactly what it was for, or what it was exactly, but the title of the Darkrai movie had a letter or a symbol that looks like this design of Darkrai. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, but trust me on this. Like it looked like, I think it was like an S or a 5 or something. I don't remember exactly. I saw it earlier today. But it looked like the title of this design. So maybe, whether it's coincidence or not, the design for the movie title, the earlier version of the movie title, I assume, don't know 100%, looked like this beta version of Darkrai. So maybe they had this in the works, ever since this version of Darkrai. Or maybe they changed Darkrai's design much, much, much later in development. Who knows? Very interesting. Shaman got a buzz cut. Shaman's beta design is very cute. Very less fluffy. She got her head shaved. Nothing really to comment on. Very cute. I do like its design, actually. I think it's not bad. The Gracidia flower is much less, high depth, much less detailed. Again, it looks like, no shading, no colors, or no like good colors or anything like that. It looks like a prototype sprite, but I think that I don't think I would have really minded if Shaman looked like this. I think it's kind of cute. And finally for the front sprites, the big one that everyone's talking about, Beta Arceus. So there's been a lot of art on Twitter and many other places about this Beta Arceus. And again, as much as I love, the lore, or like the drawings of Beta Arceus, and like the theory crafting, like, oh, what if Arceus did actually look like this? I guarantee you, this is just a prototype. This is just like a, hey, or even a placeholder at that. It's just like a beige smoke mist, like very crudely drawn quadrupedal creature with these ring-like orange beady eyes. And I love seeing the theory crafting, or like the world building where it's like made of mist, and it's like, it's very regal and very cool looking. I love that. But like I said, I guarantee you this is just a placeholder. But again, it's interesting to think, who knows, maybe this was a suggested design for Arceus. Maybe the simplicity of it was what they were going for. We have no real way of knowing, unfortunately. I would love to learn how this went down, how this design was, was pitched, if it was an actual pitched or, suggested design, and if it was just a placeholder. I want to shake the hand of the person who drew this amazing sprite. Next is the back sprites. So like I said, I'm not going to go through and talk about every back sprite that we've seen. This episode is already getting much longer. Like, for example, Chimchar, Monferno, and Infernape. Monferno and Infernape's, sprites were unfinished. Same with these. They pretty much are generally pretty consistent with that sense. Like, Empoleon's is unfinished. A few of them are different. I just noticed that like Starly and Staravia's are a little bit different. But again, I'm not going to talk too much about the very, very slightly changed designs. I want to think about the very different designs. For example, Kricketune here. Kricketune has a much different back sprite than it did in the or a much different design in the beta version that we saw, which was, it was a little different. It was just like a little fatter. But this one is a totally different design. It has like these weird antennas that go forward instead of backward. It's got a much more prominent mustache, different eyes. I mean, the sprite itself looks unfinished, but like the perspective on it is much different. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here, because there are, we've seen these before. Wormadam had a little bit of a change when it comes to its design. It had these white spots on its back. It wasn't as refined as it was. Combee and Vespiquen had the same designs as back sprites. So who knows? Maybe the ones that did have, sort of, that had back sprites that follow the same designs. Maybe these were designs that were actually pitched, and they weren't, they were considered. They weren't actually just placeholders. Like, for example, Lopunny has a different sprite. It's a little different. Miss Magius, I can't tell if this is just like a different design or they just needed a placeholder for its back sprite, because it looks horrible. The design is a little bit different, but again, it could just be like they didn't want to put fine detail into it, so they didn't bother. Same with Honchkrow. Its back sprite looks unfinished. Perugly is the same. Chingling is smaller in this back sprite. I want to talk about the very interesting ones, though. Let's see. Where can I find... I guess I can look at some of the back sprites for the Gibble and Garchomp line. Which, I mean, they look exactly the same as you would expect them to. Nothing super out of the ordinary here. Most of these are just unfinished. Most of these are slightly different designs. Lumineon and Finneon's designs are consistent with the beta ones that we saw. Who else? Snover and Abomasnow. We get a little bit of a different viewing of what they might have looked like. Let's see. Oh, Licky. This is another big one I wanted to talk about. Licky looks totally different. It's like round. It has... Oh, Licky's already round. It looks like a frisbee. It's got like yellow spikes and yellow rings on its side. Very interesting. Obviously, we don't know what it could have looked like from the front, but obviously there was something. There was something related to Licky that we didn't see here. And I really wish that we could have seen what they had thought for Licky, because it's a very interesting design. Rhyperior looks a little different. Magmortar again with the unfinished prototype sprite. Togekiss keeps the accuracy. Yanmega is the same. Leafeon and Glaceon actually do have beta prototype sprites. They're just like unfinished. Gliscor is the same. Same with Mamoswine. Seems like they didn't really want to put a lot of effort into the back sprites. A lot of the back sprites are unfinished. For Pokemon that had finished front sprites. Probopass, oh my god, I forgot. I remembered Probopass. Rotom, same thing. Oh, here we go. It seems like the Lake Trio had different designs. Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, they had some different hair. Rocking some cool hairstyles. They don't look super different, but they all have these, like, ribbons coming out of the top of their heads, which actually are the same exact sprites. Like, they just changed the Pokemon underneath them. They don't actually change the ribbon, so, like, they reused some assets there. Uxie looks a lot more... Like, its hair looks a lot more defined, I guess. Mesprit has, like, a fuller head of hair. Kind of looks like Knuckles. And Uxie, or Azelf, doesn't really look too much different, but still interesting, to say the least. Interesting that, again, these Pokemon had back sprites that we didn't get to see their front sprites for their beta designs, which I'm upset about. Dialga and Palkia, just their unfinished sprites. Heatran has the same different style sprite. I don't think there's any much that are too different here. Cresselia has a placeholder back sprite. And it looks like the rest of the legendaries here have, they're the same. Same beta sprites as we had, nothing different. So the back sprites didn't really give us too much of a look into them, except for, the Lake Trio and Licky? Had some different back sprites that we didn't get to see on their front sprites, which again disappoints me. But again, like I said, who knows how many things and how many Pokemon had these insane design changes that we just didn't get to see because this is they're on versions of the game that wasn't leaked. If I could, I would love to see like every single development version for these games. I'm super interested in this sort of thing and this kind of seeing the development of these games, seeing the things that got changed, seeing the potential for certain things, seeing what the game could have been, what could have been different, and thinking how would it have changed Pokemon. Maybe I don't think that these designs would have made a huge difference on how Pokemon evolved, but you never know. Some design decisions that people didn't really think twice about when they were making them, they could have changed how people view an entire Pokemon. They could have changed something about the entire story of the game. How well the game did even. Like, if they changed the box legendaries of like, Dialga, Palkia, or Giratina. If they had that beta design for Giratina, do you think that they would have been able to ship out Platinum the same way as they did? I don't know. I don't think that Pokemon looks as insane as normal Giratina does. I don't know if it would have been as appealing. It's things like that really, really make me excited. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very passionate and excited to talk about these sorts of things. And I thank you for listening in this far. But it's those types of things that really get me interested in the earlier versions of Pokemon games and what could have been. There's really not that much that I can talk about. We went over pretty much everything. A lot of the stuff is very minimal changes. The bigger change things like the sprites of the the beta Pokemon of Diamond and Pearl are really, really what I wanted to talk about. But seeing some of the other things, the music tracks, the other Pokemon designs, the slight changes in those, the trainers, the overworld things, it's just so interesting to me. And I really, really enjoyed talking about them on this episode of Evocast, and I hope that you did too. Like I said, in conclusion, I don't really think there's anything much else that I can talk about. I think it's really cool that we got a glimpse into this world, into this never-before-seen look into how this game was made. This game is a very important game to so many people's lives, including me, and including so many people that I know, and just seeing what went into these childhood classics is really, it's almost nostalgic, like, it's like I'm experiencing these designs for the very first time and seeing these cool new designs. Like, imagine if Garchomp was the same as it was in the beta designs, Oh man, it gives me a warm heart just thinking about these types of things. And like, these games and the series are so prevalent in my life that seeing the inner workings and seeing what these games could have been and what, the mindset, the thought, the care that went into designing these Pokemon, designing these games, designing everything that went into this just makes me feel very happy. And I hope it does to you too. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's understandable, relatable to people who love Pokemon, not even as much as I do. I hope that if you enjoy Pokemon even in the slightest, that you can appreciate the sentimental value of seeing these games picked apart to what they really are inside. And with that, I am going to end today's episode with one last final segment, everybody's favorite segment, where we talk about a random move. Every episode, Move Tutor. And on the chopping block today to finish us off is move number 126, Fire Blast. Fire Blast is a damage-dealing fire-type move introduced in Generation 1. It was TM38 from Generation 1 to Ultra Sun and Moon, and TM46 in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. It is TR15 in Generation 8. Fire Blast is a fire-type move. It is a special move. It has a PP of 5, a power of 110, and an accuracy of only 85%. In Generation 1, Fire Blast inflicts damage and has a 30% chance of burning the target. In Generations 2 to 5, Fire Blast now only has a 10% chance to burn the target. Fire Blast can also be used as part of a Pokemon contest combination with the user gaining 4 extra appeal points if the move Sunny Day was used prior to the turn. In a Generation 6, Fire Blast power was decreased from 120 to 110. Interesting. They nerfed it. I didn't know they nerfed it. They nerfed it twice. It did 120 base power and had a 30% chance of burning the target. I mean, its accuracy is so low. I don't know. Maybe it did need a nerf, but it was. Some Pokedex entries, there's some information about it, or, some descriptions of it. It says the strongest fire type attack. It has a 1 in 3 chance of inflicting a burn on the target. which is actually not true. It's only a 30% chance on a 1 in 3. Which I think is funny, because I guess technically it was the strongest fire type attack, which is not true anymore. Because in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, they realize this and they're like, oh crap, and it just says, an attack that may cause a burn. They really don't, they didn't really hype it up all that much, huh? I guess it's the character limit, but wow. It's just like an attack that may cause a burn. A fiery blast that scorches all. See, now that's what I'm talking about. That's what they need to have the description sound like. A fiery blast that may cause a burn. Incinerates everything it strikes. Jesus. The target is attacked with an intense blast of all-consuming fire. It may also leave the target with a burn. Interesting. So something I've always wondered, and something I actually didn't know until now, is why Fire Blast looks the way it does. You know, like the sort of like human-shaped fire blast, I suppose, that comes out. And in the trivia, it says right here, its animation is based on the Daimonji of the Japanese festival Gozan no Okuribi, where a large bonfire is lit in the shape of the character. That's the shape that it is. I can't read Japanese, meaning big or great. A glitch sometimes occurs with this move in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, where the background fails to appear, instead showing just black. Interesting. I wonder why that is. I wonder what code error causes that. Anyway, I don't really have much else to say about Fire Blast. It's a strong fire move. according to Pokemon Stadium, it's the strongest fire type attack. So I think that is going to do it for me for today. If you've listened to this far, this longer episode of Extreme Evocast, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed my rambling about the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl beta. Very interesting stuff to talk about. I'm glad that I had a chance to discuss it, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!